Alright guys, welcome back to the Workbench. I haven't been doing any videos like this for a while, probably a couple weeks because I've been flying a lot. So anyways, I just got in some new carbon from Armatan, some different things I've been trying, and I wanted to go through a quick synopsis of the changes I've made to SCX-200 and also some of the cool things that I'm also working on. So, as you'll see right here, I have a weird looking SCX-200. It has these kind of rhino horn looking things on top. And basically what I've done is I've come up with a mounting solution for a GoPro Hero session. So, let me just grab this off the shelf. These are pretty cool little GoPro cameras. They're about $200 I think right now, and this mount puts the GoPro on top of the SCX-200 at a 40-degree angle. You just put a strap through these little slots right here. You can see how the slot kind of goes through both the halves, and that straps around your GoPro and holds it on the top. So the way this thing works is I've got two vertical plates, two 20mm standoffs, and another top plate which sandwiches on there along with some 4mm spacers that go in between the two, and that holds it on. The cool thing about this is that I've still kind of left a nice cutout area in the back so that you can still get to your VTX dip switches or buttons pretty easily. So that's a neat little feature about it. I'm thinking about putting it on Armatan Productions. I have the files posted up there, they're just not visible to everyone, and the only reason why is because these 20mm standoffs, they're just not listed on Armatan Productions yet. Now I don't know if they're going to ever get 20mm standoffs, so you'll kind of be on your own if I post this, but I'm pretty sure I'm going to do it because I've got a couple people that seem to be interested in it. So what you might also notice is that this is a 2.1, a V2.1 frame, and how you can tell is the arms are the clear giveaway. Now here's an older version of the arm, and they're pretty much identical except for the cutout at the end is no longer in the version 2.1, which you can see here. Now I've never had a problem with breaking this off, but what I noticed is now that there's a lot more of these frames out there and a lot more people flying them, that people have been breaking these. And you know, it's just bound to happen with more people. You have a bigger test base to see what happens. So that's why I've been making small changes, and I've removed that from all the V2.1 frames. No longer have the hole in the arm. Now, the other things that I changed on V2.1, some minor revisions to the bottom plate. Basically what I did was cut out where the camera sits over. I narrowed it down a little bit just to give it a little more beef around these two little slots that hold in the camera, because also noticed that some people were having failures right there. Now again, I never had a failure like that, and a lot of people don't, but you know, just for the sake of improving things and taking feedback in stride, I decided to change it a little bit, and I hope that, you know, this adds marginal weight to it, but adds a lot more strength hopefully. Secondly, I've also changed the top plate, and basically what I've done is I've changed how the slots are for the camera and for the VTX. And what you'll notice is these are more dog bone shaped. And basically what this does is instead of having the radius, it gives you a little more positive engagement with the tabs and takes some of the play out. So this was just a request some people had. Again, it's just to help improve the product slightly. I've also go ahead and changed the camera plates. Now I haven't incorporated the Armatan style of rubber mount yet. Some people like it and some people don't. And also I just felt like, you know, I'd let the other frame have that as an exclusive thing, but you can retrofit it if you want. But anyways, what I've done here is I've actually added a little beast of tab coming off the back, and that just gives us a little bit better clamping. So you can see right here that this doesn't move around as much. It's a lot tighter, and it also clamps down a lot better because now instead of just clamping down on the front surface, it clamps on the front and the back. So you get a lot better clamping on the vertical mount. Now I did a similar thing with the rear mount, although I didn't quite change this properly. So if you get some of these, and I'm going to fix this soon hopefully, you might have to take a file and make a sharp edge in there to make it fit in the new top plate. But that's also good to know, because if you have an older model and you decide you're going to buy a new top plate, you're going to have to do that anyway so that it'll fit in the dog bone shaped cutout. So those right there are your major differences in your V2.1 frames, and that's what this is right here. I'm going to go ahead and build this up. I'm going to take my prototype apart and put all the components on this. I actually broke the prototype finally after 3 months, 4 months now of flying it, I finally hit something hard enough to break enough of it that I thought maybe I should just rebuild it, and so it's going to turn into a V2.1 frame, and this is exactly what you guys will get except for the mount if you order a V2.1. So you can see it's even got the black standoffs in there, so everything except for the GoPro mount comes in the V2.1 is what you see here. Now, you may have noticed also that I had some new stuff on the store, and you might have seen a SCX-230, and I've always had the 175 up there for a while, so, but you'll notice those are also configured as V2.1s. Now, SCX-230 is basically, sorry, I got a piece of OCD going on here with the pieceless solder that's stuck to my mat. Anyways, SCX-230 is designed to be a 6-inch version of the SCX Quad. Now, if you have a 200 or 175, all you have to do is buy the 230 arms. Now, there's two different sets of 230 sized arms, and I've got the normal, which you can see look just like a 200 or a 175 arm, just longer, and then I've got the beefy. And now beefy is a little bit wider, so you can see, I'll put these on top of each other for comparison. You can kind of see beefy's wider. And the reason why I did that was because on the 5-inch setup, on the 4-inch setup, typically a 20 amp ESC is going to work perfectly fine. And in that case, a lot of guys are running DYS XM20s or Little B 20 amps or you know, Angry Beast 30 amps even. But all those ESCs are typically about 14 to 15 millimeters wide, so they fit perfectly on the normal sized arms. Now, when you go to a 6-inch, a lot of guys like to run 30 amp ESCs. And when you run a 30 amp ESC, like take for example, I have this 5-inch Alien here, I've got 30 amp Little Bs on it. Now, with the beefy arms, the 30 amp Little Bs fit a lot better and have a little bit more protection than they would on the normal width arms, because they're the same width as a Little B. Actually, I think they're the same width as the KISS 24 amps, but I didn't have a chance to verify that. So basically, the beefy arm is if you're going to run 6-inch and you want a little bit more ESC protection, go ahead and get the beefy arm. It's going to give you a little bit more meat to mount the ESC on. It's a little bit heavier, but you know, it's just something that's nice to have. Now, with the 6-inch setups, obviously, you're probably not going to care as much about the weight as you do with the 200 or 175, just because you're going to have so much excessive power and you're going to have to run so much battery anyways, because it's a 6-inch setup, that a little bit of weight from an extra width of arm is not going to matter. So anyways, that's what's going on with SCX 200 and 230, and basically explaining the V2.1 differences. Now, there are a couple other things that I posted to the site, and if you've noticed, I've also posted this to my Facebook page, and this is the SCX-140. Now, this particular one I have here is a prototype, and the ones that are posted on the store are a little bit different. Mainly just took some of the stuff I learned from the V2.1 changes I made to SCX 200 and 230 and 175 and applied them to the 140. So you can see here's a production plate for the SCX 140. There's no holes at the end of the arms, but the prototype does have them. So, but like I said, the production one won't have them. Also, the slot is a little bit not as wide in the center. It's a little less material taken out of it. Now, SCX 140 is basically a 3mm unibody bottom plate. Now, if you look closely, it may not look like the arms make a perfect X, and there's a reason for that. Basically, I've drawn the geometry in such a way that the way the arms come into the center section, it gives you a little bit more length to mount your ESC. It's kind of a trick, because if you actually measure from motor to motor all the way around, you'll realize it is a perfect X as far as the motor spacing goes, that arms just don't look perfectly in the shape of an X. Now, some of the things I really wanted to do with SCX 140 that I saw a lot of the 130s and the 120s and just the 3-inch quads don't do is a lot of them don't use an HS 1177. And for me, that's kind of important, because you're still really not going to fly a 3-inch inside. You're going to fly it outside, and I find when we're flying outside, especially in trees, especially coming in and out of cover, that you want to be flying a CCD cam, because the CCDs have a lot better dynamic range, it seems like, and they adjust a lot quicker, and they're just way better outside than I feel like the CMOS cams are. So everyone tends to kind of run those tiny little 600 TVL CMOS cams, and I really don't like them. They're light, and that's great, but performance-wise, they're just not that great. So HS1177 was the goal for this frame, and that's why it ended up being 140, because I felt like 140 gave it the perfect envelope to fit that, and also to be able to you know, be a small envelope still. So this quad fits the HS1177. It's sized for 1306 motors. I wouldn't highly advise that you get a 1306. Don't get like an 1105 or an 1102. It's really not designed to be a small lightweight quad. It's designed to be a small powerful quad. So this setup, which I'm still, like I said, it's still a prototype. I'm building this one. I already have one built. This is the second prototype. This one's getting the Emax 1306 4000 kV motors. And I also run about a 450 milliamp hour 4S tattoo pack, which seems to work okay for about 2 minutes of flight. And then everything else in there standard little beat sized ESCs, 20 amps typically, standard PDB, standard flight controller. And again, the top plate is designed to allow you to get to the dip switches on your VTX. So it's very much the same. It's just a little bit smaller footprint, but it follows all the same SCX architecture you see in the big guys, except for it being a unibody lower plate. That's the one huge difference you'll see other than size. Sorry, got to rearrange my bench here. Meanwhile, I got the 3D printer heating up, so I got to be careful not to touch that. Okay, now last thing I'm working on is just something for fun. And this, I'm not sure if it's going to be available ever. To be honest with you, I already know that it's got to be redesigned. It's a micro quad, and it's basically designed to work with brushed motors. And I've got one built up here, and this one has the motors from Micro Motor Warehouse, the Dark Edition. I think they're 17,000 kV brushed motors. They're 8.5 by 20s. I've got a Beef's brushed board in there, and of course I've got like a Hyperion / Ready-Made RC FX790 something, I don't know, all in one camera VTX combo. And this little guy's just supposed to be fun. I'm still playing around with it. I mean, it flies, but I'm learning a lot about this, and I'm realizing that, you know, weight is a huge difference on these little brush quads, and it's been brought to my attention that there's areas that I need to change and improve on this. So I'm going to keep playing with it. If I can get it to something that I think is worth selling, maybe I'll sell it. But to be honest with you, it's more of a just something for fun. Just something I've never done, so I wanted to try and do it. So anyways, that's SCX. I'm going to say 90. Maybe call it a nano. But the reason why it's 90 is because it's 90 millimeters from motor to motor, perfect X. You've got brushed motors, Hubsan size props, so they're 55 millimeter, and it runs on one cell.